Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Mo studio.
It's a blast!
It's Orlando's own Tom and Dan.
Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. We are live on Twitch and YouTube. Are you familiar with all of the streamers in your local area? Well, we're the best Central Florida online stream. Not really.
Are we? There's probably better ones.
I didn't even believe it when I said it. But hey, go like and subscribe because we have a great stream on YouTube. Tons of different cartoons, tons of different shorts, little comedy, behind-the-scenes stuff. Just check it all out at Tom and Dan Live.
And if you want to become a BDM, and if you're not one already, you can sign up at tomanddan.com. We do BDM Appreciation Week coming up in April.
Yep.
Next week, we're doing $5 T-shirts for BDMs, which you'll get a bunch of extras thrown in each package.
Can I complain about the phrase $5 T-shirts?
Yes.
Man, that Subway $5 footlong thing burned hot because every time you say $5, I want to say footlongs, and then I think pedophile, and then I'm mad.
Then I think the joke, he's getting a footlong.
Yeah, remember when everybody said
the
that?
number one dad joke in the country?
Hey, you know what Jared's getting in prison, don't you?
He get a $5 footlong, get her done.
What's crazy is they haven't had a $5 footlong, I don't think, in years. Like that promotion, it just hasn't been sustainable for them. So they haven't actually had a $5 footlong.
No.
Yeah.
I still
Quite a
remember the
while.
song.
Well, hyperinflation. They're like, we cannot do this anymore. $5 will buy you nothing.
If you've seen the John Oliver expose on Subway,
I don't watch pretentious British journalism.
franchisees hated the $5 footlong because, one, it would like barely any margins on it, so they would actually, some would lose money.
You're making 3 cents on the footlong.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you're in like a larger city, you're losing money on the $5
because you're
footlongs.
having to make 20,000 little loaves of bread a day.
Yeah. Then you got your employees. They're on
God.
fentanyl.
Yeah.
They're falling asleep in the footlongs. Yeah. Anyway,
That's a good start. I feel it's a good start. Anytime you can start with fentanyl is a good start with me.
and we have a BDM only appreciation party happening at the end of BDM Appreciation Week, and you'll only get the invite if you are a BDM. So,
Or just ask me.
Ask Kenny.
or ask Kenny.
You know, I need to check if you're a BDM.
I don't know if you are.
Yeah, maybe you're not. And if you're not, I'd be
Yeah,
very
look,
insulted.
he's reaching for his phone like he needs to log into his account.
I mean, I'm stirring up stuff on the BDM page about arena football.
yeah,
All right,
let's
let's
talk
talk
about
about
it. I was telling Tom a little bit about this.
So I don't know like the full ins and outs of.
It's the second day in a row we've had somebody talking about predators on there.
Heyo. So with the Orlando Predators, I guess their owner is just a shady human being. Like
What?
Shady. He said shady. I want to, yeah.
So I guess so the arena football. For those who don't know, the Arena Football League. I guess
How many shady owners can this play? I was an owner.
Is it? Do you have to
I
be?
was.
Do you have to be a shady owner?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That's
That makes sense.
that's the first.
You know,
box to
sometimes I
check.
forget you were a shady owner.
Yeah.
Which means you're still a shady owner.
there was documents that I still have in my safe.
Can you throw those out? They're not going to be like, you know what those documents are? Those are his beanie babies. He thinks he's going to hold on to that at some point in time. If you framed it, it would be cool.
I was like, well, what if they started it up again?
Why
Because
don't you frame it?
your kids are gonna find it and they're gonna be like, "What is this trash?"
Apparently, I own just a website and a thing that was the Orlando Predators.
Yeah.
I did that, 2 versions ago, because when the Seagulls bought it after Brett Bushy's and the ownership group that I was in was the Brett Bushy ownership, a new owner.
No, okay. From what I thought, the Brett Bushy ownership group was the group you were in. Then he sold it to somebody else. Then David Siegel bought it from that other guy.
Yes,
Then
and
David Siegel sold it to maybe this guy, and now this guy's trying to sell it, I believe, right?
Yeah, so
Isn't that the problem?
It's a big rigmarole with that, and if you look at it, the Arena Football League ended up absorbing a bunch of smaller teams. So Orlando, it's like Orlando, Phoenix, and Nashville, like the three.
Can we stop saying
biggest
absorb because it's gross? It sounds like a maxi pad.
But
so
knock
it off.
The other teams in the league are like Billings, Montana, Corpus Christi, Texas, Wichita, Kansas, Albany, New York. Like it's just comically where Orlando is far and away one of the biggest cities, if not the biggest.
Wichita's got an awesome mascot.
Oh. But anyway, so like I guess 3 or 4 days because the season's supposed to start this weekend, and Orlando, the Predators, basically said, "Yeah, we're not going to be a part of it." And so the league, in retaliation, it's like, "Well, then you guys are expelled. You guys will never be a part of
I like
the
that.
Arena League."
That's what Buckethead did with his producers. You'll never work in this
The
town again. That's what you got to do.
official press release was written like a teenager who just got broken up over. Like it was like the betrayal that the owners have dastardly done to their fans.
I went right to AI.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I went right to AI, and I'm like, oh, I think this is AI generated because it did read
It
like
read
a teen girl.
so horribly, and it's like the city of Orlando deserves so much better than the heartbreak that these selfish, greedy owners are imposing on the team.
You know what it read like? It read like that weird Gideon's cookie thing. It read very much. It read like a crazy person.
So, but the fact that you okay, I get it. It's the Arena League, but you're an official sport.
Because I was an owner, and I was hanging out with
You're
all
the
owners.
Jerry Jones of Orlando.
I also read
I heard
terrible
them
press
talk.
releases.
I knew who the owners were, who the commissioner was. At one point, Bushy and a bunch of other people bought the rights to the entire league.
Correct.
And they were
remember? I do remember this.
He was in a auction or auction battle.
He had the whole thing
with
John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi was
Why
the
did
other.
I say John Bon Jovi?
Bon Jovi. and the only reason Bushy's group won is because it was like Thanksgiving Eve, and
he couldn't bid.
And he couldn't bid because he jumped out his plane. It was like this happened.
Yeah, he was in the air when they bid. It was like a thing.
So, but I also know that if you do own the Orlando Predators or whatever, the only way to make money is to do something. Because
okay, good point.
Because you need.
Did you write that down?
You
Write
need
down
You may have a point here.
You
need to run the season or do games. Or
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
anything.
So you need to, okay.
You need to charge some monies for people to come see you do something.
Ticket sales.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Whatever it is.
Right.
I know that's a pivotal, and then also when
That's your product, you would say?
So there's that, and then there's the sponsorships you sell. The Fifth Third Bank.
Well, if you don't play though, it's hard to because what's the what are the impressions for the advertisers?
So if without the ticket money and then the Fifth Third Bank sponsoring the first touchdown or whatever
the Jamie Watson wacky kick.
Yeah.
Fifth Third Bank presents Jamie Watson and Drunky the Bear's wacky kick.
And if you don't have that, you got nothing.
You got nothing.
So why did they opt not to play if there's no other way to make money if you don't play?
So this is one of the reasons. Essentially, they have to pay the city of Orlando to use the arena.
Yes.
And because of how gigantic the arena is, it's really expensive to rent it out. And the fact that they're playing teams from Billings, Montana, and Stockton, California, they're not getting the ticket draws and the sponsorships that are worth it. So essentially, they're losing money in every single home game.
This was what was happening with Bushy, and he was fighting with the Magic and fighting with the city because I know a little. I'll tell you guys.
This sounds eerily similar to what was happening,
which is why they went to the UCF
ago.
arena for a season,
Yeah.
and that was just a nightmare.
So I remember, Bushy was fighting with the Magic and the city because apparently the city basically gave the Magic all the stuff with the arena.
They get a different deal.
Because the city was paid for half the arena, so the city had some control or whatever.
They
it was.
still own and operate it technically.
Yeah. Okay, so they made the city pay for the whole thing. That was like the whole no arena thing that Jim Phillips did, right? Or was that with the water?
So that was the initial plan when they ended up doing the whole thing where it's like, hey, tourism tax dollars will go towards building the then Amway Center. That's when the politicians are like, okay, as long as it's not citizen tax money.
So I remember Bushy was fighting with the Magic and the city because the city basically said the Magic could have 100% sponsorship rights on banks and a bunch of other big sponsors,
and they were permanent,
and nobody else could bring in any new ones.
Yeah.
So
they were baked in. They were
like when you walk in, it's like the Walt Disney Atrium and the Budweiser
and
bar,
you can't even
and
if
that
it's
is
a different
not
team.
to be touched. That is a baked in. They bought that for good,
and you have to say it if you want to promote it. Correct. And you can't bring in your own sponsors. No. And then Bush is like, well, how about we can't make any money and you're charging too much.
Yeah.
And then it was like
I didn't necessarily disagree with him.
That is true because
Yeah, I
how
didn't
you're supposed
necessarily,
to.
and he's not my favorite person, but I didn't disagree with because it did seem to me like, well, you're not giving him a chance to use the facility that he's even renting.
And the sponsorships that ended up coming through are like, Mama B's Catering. Like that would be like the main sponsors because all you're finding are these local mom and pops that don't conflict with what's already in the arena.
Now, I will say the Solar Bears are doing this, so there is a way.
Well, they're really
Well,
good. I mean, they know what they're doing.
It's
They're really
because
good.
the Orlando Magic owns the Solar Bears.
Correct.
Same
ownership group.
And as long as you cover it up. Now,
I forgot.
there's other things too, like when the NCAA ever does stuff there, the NCAA is sponsored by Coca-Cola. So the arena being a Pepsi arena, they have to cover up all Pepsi signage, but the NCAA has to pay for that. So the NCAA has to pay to cover up all the Pepsi branding. They can only serve Coke bottles.
So they get that on the back end for covering up the signage,
Yeah.
and that's pretty.
Yeah, because
amazing.
the Pepsi has a deal with the arena that's like, no, we're a Pepsi facility. But
My daughter loves that, by the way.
And-
My daughter loves Pepsi. That's her drink of choice.
Oh.
So when we go to the arena, like she's like dancing in the streets.
Could you do it at that Kissimmee? What's that arena?
Silver Spurs.
Silver Spurs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the Osceola Magic, where Mac McClung, 3-time
Yeah.
dunk champion, plays.
Yeah, I like Matt McClung.
Yeah. You're like, smells like doo-doo. The rodeo is
Smells
just
like Toby Keith's urn in here. Too soon?
probably hard to get people to travel over to the Silver Spurs.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, I think it's hard to get people to go to arena football.
Yeah.
Because
That's the first
The league as a whole has just...
Because let's just say what we all know, it's not good football. It's not.
It used to be... So
It used to be good.
it
did.
peaked in, I think, the mid... here's my theory of what killed
Late
it.
90s, it was ripping.
Late
dude.
90s, because it was a Friday night, a PG-13 adult party.
And I don't think the NFL was as big as it was, so you would
Well-
get good players that couldn't make the
Yeah.
NFL, but like they'd play for like a couple seasons in the AFL.
But I think so. It became like this party environment. You'd have ladies flashing the camera when they get on the screen. But then
they
when
did
it-
a pimp and hoe night.
yeah. So they
In
got
the 90s at the Predators, they did a pimp and hoe night.
so in the early 2000s they blew up. The Arena Football League as a whole blew up, and I think they made the bad choice of let's now make this family friendly Saturday afternoons and let's market it on to the masses, and it killed that niche party environment. And I think a lot of those fans are like, oh, I don't want to go if it's going to be a Saturday at noon and there's a bunch of 8-year-olds around. I'm not going to watch it as much.
I
or
agree with you.
Party as much.
I was
and
a
I think
part
that's
of
what
this.
killed it.
Yeah, it wasn't as much fun. I mean, it did get decent attendance, but it wasn't the way it was.
cell phone cameras killed the flashing. Let's just go ahead and
Well, it
because
wasn't, I meant, but it's still the party vibe. It's
Yeah,
still the
I
I'm going
mean,
to chug 10
yeah.
beers because it's a Friday night.
but pre-cell phone camera 90s, Daniel,
Oh
like
my
that
God!
was-
There'd be a lady standing next to you wearing full lingerie. I'm not kidding, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God!" Like it wild.
And I will say that early 2000s, the halftime shows, entertainment.
Man, I I thought they were really good.
You'd show up and you're like, "What's this guy gonna
Yeah.
do next?"
Yeah,
You
why
know
are
what-
there
you know what I-
cardboard boxes?
I'm not even going to jump on that because I will tell you that sometimes people would come for the halftime show and leave the game. So I will give you,
Yeah.
I will give you your love. I feel like the halftime shows that you were giving them there, you were super serving the Predators audience because they got good football and they usually got a pretty decent halftime show. They really did.
Will anyone?
And I did a lot of work on those stupid halftime shows, so I'm taking a little credit.
Will anyone do any ridiculous halftime shows like I did? Is it Dead Forever?
There's only
Will
one
there-
person that could ever do that,
No,
and
but
that'd
it
be
can't be-
you if you ride again, baby.
But
Tom rides again.
Yeah, I
I'm
for the
not
most
good at
part,
all.
yeah, but you're gonna find what is it, the United Football League or the UFL or whatever is probably like some market is gonna have a wacky dude probably doing some local
but
stunts.
Are
Not
they gonna
like
have
our wagon, dude.
motorcycle hot dog off a string?
yeah. How about a diarrhea frisbee dog?
All right, I had,
Will
I had a
Billy
cop
will-
dog chase me down. I was one.
Stormtroopers
It was-
getting bullied by big offensive linemen.
It was
What
me.
about getting butter all over a $1,000 suit?
It wasn't a $1,000 suit. I hate to break it to everybody, but like I'm just gonna give you the real. Barry Wagner, God bless him. But I've been to the Magic Mall enough to see Airbrush Pete. I go to see Airbrush Pete, and Barry Wagner's bright red Predator suit was about $70. It was not an expensive suit.
How about me versus a little person trying to score a touchdown?
I remember that.
And then
you against women, then woman MMA fight. We had a woman. That was my favorite, and she rocked your ass.
it was
It was
God.
Spencer.
Yes. What's her first name?
We're getting old.
Felicia.
Felicia.
You know what I think would have probably
It's
helped?
Felicia Spencer.
We probably, like, in the championship game should have had, like, a classic rock band that puts on a lot of makeup. I think a Kiss probably would be a great idea for a halftime show.
They did that one year. You know, one of the years that was pretty fun for the Predators, they had a rock band.
I was making fun of the fact that a local radio station thought Kiss as a halftime act would.
Well, that's what they did.
I know, and it was terrible, and no one watched.
But for one season, they had a band that played like during the breaks.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I do remember that.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I will admit, when they brought in Angel and like he did his whole setup during that was pretty cool.
I like that.
I liked
the edginess of the fake left, fake right billboard where it had a girl with big fake boobs. And it
Didn't they
said
have a hot
Orlando
tub?
Predators, and it said fake left on her left boob and fake right on her right boob.
See, the problem is they need a more scammy owner.
Well, why don't you come out of retirement? Let's do this.
Hey, because I could,
and I'll be the commissioner. I'll even dress up like a crazy
Can I rebuy the Orlando Predators
I mean, we can look
TNT
into it.
Media? Because me and Daniel could put on a show.
Let's crowdsource it.
Like-
what if our listenership group, we'll call it the Tom and Dan Listener Group.
Yeah.
What if the Tom and Dan Listener Group buys the Predators and we just start having our own orgy parties? Big old football orgies.
Yeah. I'll have prisoners play the football.
Oh my God! We'll make football great again. Write that down.
Okay.
Write down make football great again.
Wait, sell tickets.
Yeah.
And then you
make football great again.
Oh, yeah. It'll be all like you bring your gun night.
Yeah, we'll do bring your gun night. We're gonna do a new thing called Shoes for Guns.
Yeah.
No one's ever done this before. You bring shoes and we give you some of our old firearms.
We put a target on the ceiling. We're like, shoot the ceiling.
No. You know what we're going to do? We're going to shoot that stupid Orlando Sentinel blimp that flies around there and drops the coupons. Shoot that thing out of the sky because Orlando Sentinel's dead.
Yeah, keep it up. Don't shoot off into the crowd.
Well, if you shoot into the crowd, we'll have you removed. We'll just kick you out.
I always
you can't be doing
appreciated when that blimp, because it had that little claw that like dropped all those coupons.
Yeah.
Except sometimes it didn't work, and then it ended up dropping all 100 of them at
like
once.
in a clump.
Yeah, and
it would
like
hit some old lady in her hair.
yeah, just like one row would get all 100 coupons.
So, okay, well, let's break down the business model because I do know.
Let's give it up to Kenny Samsel for winning a brand new pizza from Papa John.
I don't know how much
I hate that.
they got paid recently, but I knew how much the players got paid when I got paid, and it was $400 a game, and that was it. They didn't get paid for the practice or anything else. They got some free housing, and they got like a couple meals.
Yeah.
Popeyes was a sponsor. It was like seriously, that was part of their compensation package.
I do love some
But-
Popeyes.
But it was $400, and a lot of players would do it because they would be on that verge of like in and out of practice
and it's their
squad.
exposure to potentially get picked up by another team.
Yeah, and it was like they were kind of in this like purgatory between college and then like some would make a practice squad in the NFL.
They get
and then
19
drop
bucks
off.
an hour.
Was that the current thing?
Yeah.
Unless
Unless you're a top earner, you could sign a contract. But it's always been
the
that
top
way.
earners were getting paid a certain amount.
67 is the highest earner right now in the Arena Football League is a $67,000.
And there were players.
right.
There were a couple players on each team that
Yeah.
the league would, the actual league would chip in to
Yeah.
pay them more. So they were kind of like
Yeah,
MLS,
kinda like MLS, yeah.
where you would get like the Kakas of the world making a ridiculous amount, like how
I'm
much
upset
more?
that made me laugh.
Oh,
50
Kaká.
more than the next player. 50
well,
times.
What's
more.
Messi making compared to like
Yeah, it's
our
insane.
best player?
Well, that was the whole thing with when David Beckham came in. It was like his loan salary was cumulative of everyone else on his team.
Yeah, and he also got the franchise rights for Miami
He got the franchise
at half off.
Well, and at the half off the price in like 2008 when
Correct.
he joined the league.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
six,
it was
7 or 8.
It
Yeah,
was in perpetuity that he got that cheap ass price.
Okay, so
Ridiculous.
let's talk about this. Could you do some like Savannah Banana form of arena football and
Rock and Jock.
and just get players.
NBA Jam, but you do
It's
NFL Jam.
Literally Rock and Jock. It's the MTV.
Well, that's what
version.
arena football.
It's harder with the sport of football though. than it
Arena
is
football
baseball.
doesn't want to
No,
do that,
but
they
they've
want to
tried-
be taken seriously,
I know,
and
yeah.
that's the problem.
But no, they've tried doing a Rock and Jock football where it's like a flag football game with all the gimmicks and all that stuff.
Yeah, but the flag football, I still
Yeah.
want the tackling and
Yeah, like real football, but add some incentives in there to make the game more exciting.
or just
Like a battle bot.
like
Like a battle bot that just comes out there and just starts yanking people's legs off.
Oh, so I found out you can actually have goaltending in football. So like, because back in like the 60s or the 70s, coach of the Chiefs found a dude who was like 7'3" and said, hey, if someone kicks a long field goal, I want you to stand at the goalpost, and when it gets close to you, I would just want you to jump up and swat it down.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hold on. You've been holding the story out on us? This is great.
So, but that's actually illegal. So, like, you're not allowed to touch the ball when it's on its way down towards, just like in basketball.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so they could award the 3 points and basically call it goaltending.
So you have to catch it on the kick.
Yeah, you're allowed to catch it, but if it's
No,
not,
I
can't
mean catch
block
it on the
Oh,
catch
yeah,
him.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have to catch him as
That's-
he's kicking
yeah,
it.
that's why blocks can happen or whatever.
Interesting.
But yeah, you can't have Taco Fall like standing at the goal line and then jumping up to swat the ball away.
so.
Huh.
So
But you could have him on the line.
You could have him on the line.
And then you could have him. I mean, he's going to get murdered.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'm guessing he's so skinny, and he's just going to get destroyed.
Unfortunately, he's not allowed to jump on someone, and you're not allowed to like throw him up in the air
right,
too.
right.
I've always wondered why they didn't just have one like 7-footer that you found like somewhere in Asia or whatever. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while there's a 7-footer and then just
Because inevitably, an offensive lineman can just spear him right in the gut and just destroy him immediately.
well, have him just stand right behind the line and put his arms up and then jump up with it. Like that's got to be a distraction. And like if you can get up, or could a
good kicker
super athletic guy just jump as high as a
Well,
7-footer?
so
That's
Probably
I
right.
think
That was
you
the whole
just
thing.
answered- or higher.
I think it was Earl Thomas with the Seahawks would like perfect timing when the snap is and hurdle over both the defensive and offensive line to block it.
Yeah, at that point you're just high jumping.
yeah.
No,
You know,
but,
like-
but what I'm saying is, like, he timed it out so
Yeah.
perfectly where he knew exactly when to run at full speed and jump over when they're going to snap it, and he would block it, and it was amazing.
And then every once in a while, and this happened with Belichick, noticed that a holder would do.
Well, he noticed that young girls are way better. That's the first thing he
noticed,
noticed.
yeah.
He's
What
like,
do they
wow.
talk
And
about?
Guess
What
what?
is it?
Just like football, he's right.
This
But-
guy knows his stuff.
He noticed that the holder would do some sort of like pattern before they'd hike the ball.
Yeah.
And they caught it in tape, and then they had someone on special teams like trained to run in, like he noticed the pattern. He's like, oh, he's going, and then run full speed, and right when they hike the ball, he's already at a full speed run.
damn. Yeah.
And he blocked one kick. Now it only happened once because the team realized they realized that he's doing some sort of pattern that they caught.
That's interesting.
But yeah, and then Troy Polamalu did it too, where he'd jump over the line because he'd time the snap. And,
What's he doing now? I know retired, but
Head and
like,
Shoulders
Yeah,
commercials.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, so is he?
That's it.
He's not a good talker or anything. He just does the commercials. He has good hair and.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's not. I don't think he's interested in
Yeah.
media. He made a lot of money, and then that Head and Shoulders money, he doesn't need to do much.
How old is Troy Polamalu?
He's probably my age.
yeah.
or
Has he ever
mid-40s.
dressed up as Maui for his daughter for Halloween?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Or his daughter's friends or something, I'm sure.
Oh, that'd be gross,
Um,
right?
I think
if you were, I think you arrest him if they're like Troy Polamalu's dressing up like Maui for my daughter's friends. That's weird.
He probably does a lot of stuff because he went to USC, so he probably does a lot of stuff out if he still lives out there.
Gotcha.
so back to arena football. Do you think this is the end? Are we ever going to see another
the
Orlando Predators arena
the
football
league
game?
is continuing.
The
No,
league's
I know, yeah.
continuing, even though they're expelled and will never make it in the league again. I think if there's a new ownership, they'll probably end up bringing it back.
And so they'll sell it, and new ownership will accept
But-
being back in the league.
But the
Now,
better question is, why would you buy it
if you know that you can't make any money.
Correct. Because, like, I keep seeing guys, even Brad Bushy, like, I mean, I remember all the headaches he would complain about and everything. It didn't look like he was having an amazingly fun time.
But there's always rich guys that want to own a football team.
That's exactly
But aren't
it.
there better things to own, like a white tiger?
Yes, but they have so much money, wasting it doesn't even matter.
So
I mean, a tiger's food is not even as much as the stupid football.
So the theory behind a lot of that is, at least on the very, very minor league level, that a lot of these billionaires and multimillionaires will buy these teams to lose money, but they'll use it as a tax write-off. And they'll basically say, I'm operating this as a loss, as a public service and providing entertainment, and they'll treat it more so as a way to like balance their books so it doesn't
Wait, can we do that? Can we run this business at a loss
Yeah.
because we're providing
And I don't mean to say like run it out as a tax write-off. What I mean is like, hey, if this operates at a loss, it reduces my tax liability because I'm making all this money. Oh, but I'm losing this amount of money, so I don't have to pay as much in taxes. Like they'll intentionally operate it as a loss.
I try to operate this company as a loss, but no matter how much money we waste, we still make more.
Yeah, it's
That-
weird. It's weird. Every time he tells me, he's like,
It's so
spend,
profitable.
spend, and I'm like, still rich.
What
else you got?
It does seem like unless they change something with the Amway or the Kia Center, that no owner is going to buy the football team just to even if to operate a loss. Like you
Move the team.
Well, it
You
would,
need to
it would
change
it would either
something.
be that or you would have to somehow strike a deal with the UCF Arena or an Osceola and figure out a way to sell out those venues.
But it didn't
That'll
work.
never happen.
No, it didn't work before. I completely agree. That's what I'm saying. You have to figure out a way like, hey, we're at the UCF Arena and we've somehow figured out how to draw all these people there.
The chat room is asking, how was the MJ show, Kenny? What's the MJ show?
So I went to MJ the Musical last night.
MJ, the
Michael
radio
Jackson.
DJ in Tampa?
No, it was basically the Michael Jackson Broadway show.
Oh, my God.
It was okay.
molesting this boy now.
So what's crazy is
Oh, my nose fell off. Oh, my nose fell off.
you have to like they do all of his songs, but you have to realize, well, it's not a concert, it's a Broadway show. So they're doing like the flailing dancing and the pirouettes, and you're like, nah, just do the moonwalk, man. Just like, come on.
Yeah, you're going too
give
far.
Give me the Thriller.
Yeah. I just want you to grab your crotch and go up on your toes.
Now, the guy who played Michael Jackson did a great job.
Oh, there's a
did
Michael
all the-
Jackson in it?
Yeah, it's literally about him and his life. Like, it takes place
Yeah,
during...
but it's a dark tale at the end.
Well, but it's put on and sanctioned by the Michael Jackson estate, so...
They don't mention that part.
Yeah.
Where is the birthmark on my penis? And what color is it? They asked the boy, what color is my penis birthmark?
They focus a lot on him getting abused, though, by his dad. Just like his dad beating him when he was a kid.
No,
That's
yeah,
like
yeah.
half the story right there.
Oh, they sing about that? I can't watch that. I can't watch that.
So they incorporate all of his songs. So oddly, like, you know, he's getting yelled at by his dad, and then like the little boy version of Michael Jackson starts singing the opening line of Thriller because of how scared he is and how terrified.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, well, that's a dark version of like. It's like it's close to midnight. There's something creeping, lurking in the dark, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about his
It's
dad
Joe
beating
Jackson.
him, and I'm like, well, that's just depressing.
At the end of Thriller, is he a wolf? Or is, like,
no, that's a
What
good-
kind of monster
talk about
is he
this.
turning into?
Yeah, he turned into a werewolf.
That's
Well, he
weird.
starts as a zombie.
Well, yeah, there's zombies.
No, he's a zombie when he's dancing, but I do think he goes full wolf.
Remember,
Did you
in-
bring your
in-
zombie to wolf?
Well,
Yeah.
no, in the movie that they were watching, the actor Michael Jackson turns into a werewolf. It's not until the
Kenny's
girl
right.
the girl
Oh, yeah.
leaves.
There's two turns.
And exactly, and then he turns.
Yeah.
But at the very end, when it turns out it was all just a dream, he turns and his
Into
eyes are yellow,
yellow, which is a zombie.
Well, I was going to
Oh,
say
wolf.
that's indicative
Yeah.
of werewolf.
Hold
No,
on.
Kenny's right. Kenny's right on this.
Hold on, Michael Jackson, MJ. MJ's eyes are yellow. It's a whole big old bongo.
Oh my God. Michael Jordan's a werewolf. Werewolf Michael Jordan gave his son, Marcus Jordan, ketamine. It all makes sense.
They do focus on Michael Jackson taking pills, though.
Oh, really?
That's a part of the show, which is
What
weird.
kind of pills?
The whatever the pain blockers were, they attribute it to when he burned himself on
Yeah,
the
his
Pepsi
hair.
ad.
Yeah.
And in order to continue to go through with the tour, they just loaded him up on pills, and he like ends up surviving off of it.
There were a time
until he doesn't.
where that like it wasn't out yet publicly that you could just get a bunch of drugs from any doctor.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
these
you
drugs
could
are
do it.
good.
The rich were doing it. But
Yeah.
But us hillbillies didn't know
Yeah,
about
they
it.
didn't come later till like pain pill
And you know what?
clinics and stuff.
And the hillbillies ruined it, not the rich people. I said what I said.
They still do it.
You hillbillies ruined it
Yeah.
for us regulars.
But all the rich, they were just pumping them full of pills.
Oh, they still are.
Quaaludes and
Oh, yeah.
every lewd.
Yeah, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, bring me up.
So was it good?
It was okay. Again, you have to keep reminding yourself this isn't. You're not going to see a Michael Jackson like tribute concert or anything like that. It's a Broadway show. So when there's dialogue, it's that over the top Broadway dialogue where it's like, "What do you mean? You have to go out and do the tour." And it's like no one talks like that.
I don't want to go do the tour. I'd rather stay here and drink Pepsi in this bed with Macaulay Culkin.
Do you think
They don't have Macaulay Culkin in there though.
Oh, man.
That would have been good.
And I want cool now Macaulay Culkin.
if Michael Jackson was still alive, would he do social media?
Oh, yeah.
You think he would?
Yeah, he'd be on Truth. Right now.
Like
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, I
Because-
think he would. I think he'd have a team of people that do it.
Actually, I don't know. He was a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm not saying that Jehovah's Witnesses don't have social media. I'm just saying, but like he grew up not celebrating birthdays or Christmases or whatever.
But what really gets me is he never said the goddamn pledge.
So it just makes me think like
They
I
don't.
wonder
They don't say the pledge.
his
So
re-
in my book, I don't know.
if
What
did
kind of
his
American are
religious
you?
beliefs like would they have prevented him from doing something like social media?
Well, I mean, he did everything else.
He did
since
drugs. I mean, like, why is social media worse than drugs?
yeah,
I mean,
got a point.
He rationalized taking.
Yeah.
He knew he was taking illegal drugs.
Yeah.
Or did he say my doctor's giving it to me? and
Oh,
he
no,
just
his
left
doctors
at
gave
that?
it to him.
Yeah, so
That's
he just
why.
left it at that.
Yeah, it was more so like I have to take these in order to continue performing for my fans.
Do they show him his hair catching on fire in the musical?
No, they do typical Broadway theatrics where he's doing the commercial and then there's like a light explosion with LED backgrounds and
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
to
yeah.
simulate that that happened. Which I get technically it was a good show, and in terms of like how they transition from the past to the present and the 90s and all that stuff.
Who plays Jermaine?
Some dude. It's because it's Broadway. It's like one actor plays 5 different roles, so it's always like a weird rigmarole. Of who's
Jermaine
who.
Jackson always to me looked like he was made of plastic wax.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he was so like shiny and smooth and like always had the most put together kind of a chiseled look, I guess. I remember when the Jackson 5 did their tour with Michael. And I remember my buddy David, who had this scrambled porno on his HBO box, had a giant poster of the Jackson 5 sponsored by Pepsi in his
the
room.
Victory Tour. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember after the accident, he rolled up the poster and took it down.
Which
He
is
was
funny
sad.
because at least in the show, he's like, I don't even drink Pepsi. Like he was just doing it for the money.
No, yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right. So I have, since I see how much time we've been recording,
Uh-oh.
I have an observation. Not a gripe. It's an observation.
Oh,
Hold on.
God.
Do you need the song?
These are just observations. They are not just gripes.
And this is to you, Tom.
All right.
So Tom,
I never get any of the gripes.
you talk about how people, it's like, oh, it drives my wife crazy. I'm always asking why. I have to know everything. I don't think that people are getting upset that you need to know everything. In fact, it's great that you want to know the reasons why behind stuff.
He's
and
the
it's great
why
that-
guy. They
I'm a
call you
truth
that.
Exactly.
seeker.
Yeah.
That's what they call me.
Yeah.
What people get upset about is
Patriot.
when people tell you the reason, 90% of the time you don't accept it, even though it's the reason.
He's a
That's-
non-accepting truth seeker.
That's what
Right?
people get upset about.
Yeah.
So they
You're
don't
an
want-
acceptance-less truth seeker.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
them getting upset at you asking why isn't because you're asking. It's because they know you're not going to accept the answer. No
Oh, I
matter
know
what.
that. That's why I stop. That's why I'll say it, and then he'll be like, and I'll be
it
like,
goes
well,
back to
we're
the,
done here.
to the Super Bowl T-shirt thing.
Here's the thing, Kenny. I want the truth. I can't handle the truth.
Oh, okay.
Few good men.
But like
Sorry.
the Super Bowl
be
T-shirt
sorry.
stuff,
It's awesome.
I completely get. You're right. It's not the best thing to donate shirts. Other countries need other stuff, but they still do it. And the fact they still do it, you're just like, nope, they can't do it. There's no reason they would do it. And I'm like, But they still do, Tom.
I don't think they do, though. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
but they've come out and said, yes, we still do.
Yeah, but there's no proof of it is what we were saying.
Yeah.
But you have to think of the backlash if they were to say, yeah, we destroy these shirts because countries don't need
No,
shirts.
they'll never
Well,
say
that's
what
I'm
they're
saying.
really doing.
Well, that's my whole point. They
I
say
actually
they do
agree
it,
with
they're
him on this
lying.
one. I actually agree with him on this one
Okay,
because
but
where
what's
are the shirts?
What's the proof of the lying?
Because we don't see them anywhere.
Okay.
In today's age, there's nowhere to donate that many
who's-
shirts that they
Who's
wouldn't.
visiting poverty-stricken Estonia to prove them?
They got cell phone cameras.
I don't know, I kinda-
Everybody's got the internet.
I kind
Not
of feel
where
like
they're
Dave
donating shirts.
Portnoy from Barstool would go do this, right?
Yeah.
Like he's the guy standing in Africa when they deliver the shirts.
He
and
probably sexually assaults some women, too, along the way.
And the thing is,
I hate him.
Or does he have those things behind?
I hate
Oh
him.
yeah, that's right. I shouldn't have brought him up.
Here-
Sorry, Kenny.
I
Tracy
they-
disagrees with you. Kenny disagrees with you. I actually agree with Tom on this one because where's the proof of the shirts? If you show me a couple of the shirts, then I'll be on your side.
Okay, let's say there's whether there's proof or there's not proof. You're basically saying, hey, the only source of information is us saying we're doing it. That is literally the only source of information you have.
Yes.
And you're saying, I will not accept that. Therefore, why even ask why? If the only available source of information is telling you the answer and you don't believe it, then people get frustrated.
Here's what you misunderstand, Kenny. My questioning
I like the tension on this episode. I
is
like this.
is really just telling people the truth. You see what I'm saying? I'm not questioning anything. I already know, and I'm phrasing it as a
So
question.
you're a know-it-all.
Yes, Daniel
I
knows.
got to. I got to.
Daniel
I
knows
figured it out.
exactly
He's a
what it
know-it-all.
is. I'm saying,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
wait
This
a
is why
minute.
you guys are in business together.
It really is. I mean, I know this guy.
And everybody hates a know-it-all.
I don't hate you, buddy.
Anyway, but I just going back to that. It's one of those shirts did pop up one time, and it was on eBay, and that's when they put it into it. I'm thinking, I'm just guessing.
You're thinking, but you don't know.
No, we don't know.
Well, my theory with the evidence of wait a minute, if they were able to take a couple hundred of these shirts, let's say 400. With the whole,
Which, by the way, it's a lot more because you have to realize they love money. They're going to sell it to the fans. So it's not just a couple hundred. It's
Okay.
a couple thousand
all right, so
of
look,
shirts out
this
there.
even verifies my point and my theory even more. So a couple thousand shirts, where are they going to donate those to? Because they're all worth way more than, because everybody wants to get their hands on.
It's a weird one-off.
Yeah, it's a one-off shirt. Like a three-peat Chiefs shirt would be worth probably $50 to $150 on eBay at the least, right?
Yeah, but you also have to realize if it's not real, if it's not genuine, it devalues all of those shirts over time.
No.
I think it makes it cooler.
Yes, they're rare.
Yeah, it's
and
like a
people
misprint.
like
I look at it like a misprint on a
Yes.
baseball card. Those don't go down in value.
Yeah, but
Dude, you know how valuable that shirt would be online to a Kansas City Chiefs
But
fan? They'd buy it
if
for
you're
the novelty.
but if you're the NFL, you want to maintain the prestige of the champion.
Yeah, but you don't want them out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why they don't give them. They burn them. They
No.
don't even put them out because they would get loose because they're worth
I hate that I'm agreeing with Tom.
a
on
ton
this
of
one.
money. So
I'm staying out of
you-
it though because
I
it's
don't think
unfair.
you
So
realize.
anybody around the village that they donated them to with a phone would be like, go to the village and be
No.
like, hey, I'll give you.
We're gonna have to find these shirts,
the
or we're gonna keep
place-
going
money
in
for-
circles. The chat room's saying we can't circle
the
again.
places
You can't find
they're
them.
donating them to, you don't realize how vast this earth is, Tom. The places they're donating them to are so remote and far away from anything that it's if you're
There's no remoteness anymore.
You have no concept if you're in the middle of nowhere island in the Indian Ocean. You have no concept of what the NFL is. So you get this T-shirt and you're wearing it. Who's going to be like, let me take a photo of that shirt? No one knows what that is.
But they're not loading these shirts on a plane and flying them to the most remote island in the Indian Ocean. They're just giving them to a company, and the companies distribute them.
I don't think the guy from The Gods Must Be Crazy is getting one of these shirts.
Yeah.
Like I go with Tom on this one because I don't. If there are thousands of shirts and only one has popped up on eBay, then maybe what Tom's saying is wrong, and maybe what you're saying is wrong too. But I want to know, my side of it is, then where are the goddamn shirts?
These
Because
shirts are worth
with
money.
the way that people treat scams, like I know so many people that scam rather than getting real jobs, right? And you mean to tell me that one of those scam people isn't flying to one of these countries and trying to get these shirts?
Yeah, because
I think they
got
are.
a bunch. You could sell them for a bunch of money. I mean,
because it's not just the shirts too. It's a bunch of hats and other apparel and stuff.
yeah.
And I mean, the USA Today legitimately did an article talking about the process of where it ends up
The
going.
liberal bird.
They
cage
partnered with an
wrapper
organization
paper.
called
I'm
Good.
kidding. I'm joking.
It's an organization
joking
called
around.
Good 360.
Not my USA Today.
What kind of USA are we talking about? Because I don't like it today.
That's USA yesterday.
Make USA yesterday. Let's get a hat that says "Make USA yesterday." I would sell them. Would you buy one of my hats?
I'll buy that T-shirt.
It would be
You just did the RoboCop guy. I'll buy that for $1.
So Make USA yesterday
Are we on drugs today?
would be a
No.
Mousse shirt.
What's
I'd buy a Mousse, M-U-S-A-Y, M-U-S-A-Y. Make USA yesterday.
And there's no way to find this out because, again, I believe.
Look at the organization called Good 360. That is literally who is donating them.
Yeah. But then if you try to find who, they want to keep it a secret. And that's the thing. There's no secrets anymore. That's all I'm saying. Is that
Or there is.
No, but what secrets are there? There's the internet. It tells you everything.
Hey, what's out there that I don't know about? Tell me things that aren't known.
Why aren't there a bunch of social media pictures of people wearing the Chiefs 3-peat Super Bowl shirt?
Because they're donating them to places that could give a crap, such as middle of nowhere Mongolia, Georgia, Estonia, and Latvia.
Yeah, there's people there with cell phones connected to the internet.
But I follow a
And
lot of
social media.
OnlyFans models in Latvia.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women with cameras in Latvia, man.
And the shirts are valuable. For sure, you'd be like, see a kid wear that. You'd be like, hey, I want to sell this on eBay. It would pop up on the internet. There's no hiding from the internet anymore. That's all I'm saying. I was like, that's what led me to believe, they can't donate these shirts. They don't want them out there. So they just say they donate them to.
Okay, this is a video.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and
Yeah.
I'm literally looking at eBay has 3-peat shirts for the Chiefs.
Okay, look, here's a
Are
shirt.
they the actual ones printed?
Hold
by
on,
them?
this is like somebody did a video. Let's see what this person says. I don't know if this is true or not,
Okay,
but it's like a TikTok.
And it is
Now that the Eagles won, what happens to all the unsold Super Bowl merch for the Chiefs? I'll explain. To prepare for both outcomes, the NFL pre-produces championship merchandise for both competing teams. So there are tons of Chiefs Super Bowl Champs 2025 merch that is essentially unsellable. Once the Super Bowl concludes, the unsellable merchandise is collected and sent to a
Yep.
When they say essentially unsellable, that's where I disagree. I think they're valuable. And you could sell them for way more than the Eagles championship shirt because they're so
But
rare.
again, if
and
you're
it's
the NFL, you have this air of prestige that
and you don't want them out. That's why you burn them.
Let's see
Now,
what they say
I
here.
will say,
This is just from 3 weeks ago,
Okay,
so
all
I
right.
think this was trying to be like
I'm reading articles, from that same
pertinent
time.
to it. Maybe this will end the discussion finally.
distribution center on the East Coast of the United States. From there, Good 360,
Thank you.
a nonprofit organization specializing in product philanthropy, oversees the shipment of these items to vetted nonprofit partners around the globe. The losing team's merchandise is then distributed to various countries across the globe, including Ukraine, Mongolia, Georgia, Estonia, and Latvia. The donation provides essential clothing to individuals and families in vulnerable communities. Additionally, the NFL and Good 360 prevent thousands of items from ending up in landfills. The NFL has strict rules preventing the losing team's merchandise from entering secondary markets, such as eBay or clearance racks, to maintain the integrity of its brand. Because the rules and processes are strictly designed to keep Super Bowl
So, like, the real question to me is, well, then I want to see one of these shirts, and then I'll believe it. Everything that's saying, and you and everybody. I'll believe it 1,000,000%.
But what if they don't want the design out there, so then someone copies it and makes their own shirts?
Well,
That's not as valuable. I want the shirts made.
But you don't. But how do you know? That's what I'm saying. Like, and also if you're the NFL, you're Sue crazy, so you have it under lock and key. You're a multi-billion-dollar entity. You have the ability to keep it under lock and key.
Yeah, but if I'm the NFL, I'm like, oh God, now I have to spend a bunch of lawyer time getting all these
Oh, you
shirts off of
couldn't-
eBay,
no.
whatever. Just burn them.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
We say they donate them, and then guess what? What everybody doesn't realize is this is what they say. You understand how big corporations work? They put out in the media what they want
well,
people
we
to
know
believe.
that because the stuff that we tell our listeners is certainly not what we're doing.
Of course.
And
That's
we
how
are
it works.
honest with our listeners. Like, we tell our listeners, we're like, we lie to you so much. We're always lying to you. We're lying to you
So
right now.
you're
Big
taking
corp-
the George Costanza effect where it's like, okay, if someone tells you the reason why, just believe the opposite.
No, I'm saying that the NFL and some decision makers, like, listen, I don't want to start suing a bunch of people because, like, the Ukraine, I see soldiers in Ukraine videotaping themselves in war.
Well,
The
tons
amount
of
of-
OnlyFans models in Ukraine.
The amount of work it's going to take to fight it legally is less effort than the headache and the bad press and the awfulness of someone finding out that they actually burn the shirts and don't donate them. That is going to damage the NFL more than the amount of work of getting lawyers who are already on retainer to go out there and blank their blank.
I've thought about that. And
How much to get a ticket to Ukraine and wait for these shirts? Because I'll go there and just get a couple of these and fly back.
I'll go to Latvia.
Yeah, let's do it.
And again, I have thought about that, but it still doesn't explain why these shirts don't end up on social media and for sale everywhere. And
AI
we don't see
algorithm
them.
to ping them before they go. Like, they have a partnership with eBay, and if eBay flags it ahead of time, you can't post it because it's using an AI to already.
There's so many other things, though, Kenny, we can't lock down. You know what I mean? And we can lock down these NFL shirts. We locked them down, man. They're not even making it out of Ukraine. Only people wear them. There's no photos of them. How do they lock that down? Don't know, but they did it.
Because people actually care about this compared to anything else that gets leaked.
No,
Maybe.
it's the least charitable thing in the world. Donating a shirt doesn't do anything
I know,
for these people.
and I understand
they
that.
don't want shirts.
I understand that, but the NFL, for some reason, cares the most about it.
It's a lie. I'll find out one day.
You know what?
I'll show you, Kenny.
I'm going to help you, Kenny, because I did like your argument. I love that you brought the video. We played it. We got a little deeper in the mud. The argument still stands. We will get to the bottom of it this year. We're trying to buy one of those shirts. If you buy one, I'll expense you back. I'll expense you back if you find one.
The 70s music in the background really made me happy.
Let's buy it.
I'll pay $500 to anybody who could find a
bounty.
Kansas City Chiefs three-peat
A real
official
one. No,
one.
it's got to be from the NFL.
But it's also, how do you know? How do you know if it's real or
No,
not?
because I can go look at what the NFL because there's official printed NFL stuff, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is official."
I know.
Like jerseys and things.
They
Like
sell
a
some
bootleg.
garbage out
I can
there.
tell. I'm a pinnacle of quality. I can tell. You get it in front of me, I can tell.
That's you got an Outcash Falcon
I
shirt.
do. I buy a lot of high quality hoodies.
And the person you got it from would say, "Oh, I got this from this village that gets donated." You know what I'm saying? They'd have some sort of story about where they got it from, right? And then we
They would
could
have
track
to.
it a little bit.
If it were true. Now, I'm not saying it's not true.
I'm going to work
because-
with Eric the Merchman to come up with this fabricated story. And
thousands of shirts and hats we just don't see. They're like,
That's all I'm saying. I'm
the
not
village
saying
is
you're
too
lying.
deep in the jungle.
Yeah. Sorry. By the time they make it out, their shirts fall off. Like, I don't know. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
And we give them thousands of shirts and hats every year, and they never run out.
You know what? They're so dumb they eat the shirts. Oh, that's how they're savages. The savages
And that's
eat
all
the
they
shirts.
need.
Like,
They-
what are we doing here?
They're so cold in the jungle. We need more shirts.
Yeah, they burn the shirts. They burn the shirts for fuel. That's how stupid they are. What are we doing?
All right. Well, let's get out of here. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Such a good ending. All right, good job, Kenny. I'm glad you pushed back on that because I love that argument because I do want to buy one. We're gonna find out.
I bet something for like a hat, they probably de-stitch it. Like something like a hat, they probably don't donate because that's easy to to unstitch.
That's tonight. Yeah.
So I can see if it's like something that's embroidered. Oh, they probably destroy it by like removing all of the insignia from it. It's just the screen printed shirts would be the only ones that would be difficult to destroy.
But even to de-stitch a bunch of garbage, it's like just burn it all. You know what I'm saying? or like donate it to the company so we could have our because there's also and this happens all the time where it's lawyer talk. It's like, well, we donated to the company. We don't know what they did, but there's a behind the deal handshake. Like, oh yeah,
I would accept. Hey, the NFL doesn't destroy it. This good 360 company destroys it. That one, I would believe in that conspiracy theory.
And then they.
I even think it's as bad as Good 360 because I looked at their website, but again, their website's great, but there's not one picture of anybody in Tanzania wearing an older NFL shirt that never happened. So like I think that what if Good 360 does take the shirts and they do go to Ukraine, but as soon as they come off the boat, the ship, whatever in Ukraine, they're burned right there in Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
in front of a poor
No,
family.
they're just not needed. It's just
No, I know. I
know.
like the imagery of like this poor family just sitting there, like,
But they're
please.
Chiefs fans too.
Ah, damn it.
Because
Double whammy.
wouldn't there be some social media video of the employees donating the shirts? And I know even if it's like, oh, it's against the rules. Oh, you know how many things end up on social media that's against the rules? Like, you know what I'm saying? The rules didn't stop the employee from videotaping, like, I'm giving this kid a Chiefs three-peat
To that
shirt.
point, from working with the NBA, there have been a lot of people that have gotten fired for doing that, and they scrubbed that image or that video off the internet immediately. So I could see a thing where it's like, let's say someone did post it, that person immediately would be fired, never work with that organization again.
And I don't even think that the NFL is worried about that much backlash if someone did find out they were destroying the shirts and they were donating them, because it would be an easy thing to explain where like there's too many shirts, no one even needs shirts, and
Or
we
they
can't
just
have
do
these out.
Yeah, or they do the thing where it's just like, no, we donated it, we did our due diligence. It's not our fault that this terrible company is burning them.
I honestly think no one's ever asked but me. Like no one, right? Everybody just accepted the lie, right? And I'm telling you,
makes you a truth seeker.
I'm me. I'm different. I asked the tough questions.
I'll say things different. I'm a truth seeker.
even that TikTok video, they're just regurgitating the bullshit the NFL puts out. Like they donate the shirts to Good 360 and a good, but no one's ever like, yeah, but why don't we see them anywhere? And they're like, oh, they're deep in a fucking village. No one has cell phones. I'm like, everybody.
Convenient.
I see a kid with an a AK shooting it with
okay.
Tommy Hilfiger shorts,
I
and
just
he's
realized-
got a cell phone. Everybody's got cell phones.
We think that there's just a box of shirts and all the shirts are going to one village. What if they sprinkle 2 shirts per pallet? And that's what's getting spread all around. So you'll never see it. The odds of you finding it, because it's not concentrated.
pretty good. That's
it's
good.
not concentrated. So that way the volunteers or the charity has no idea
That's a better
where
argument.
the Super Bowl shirts are.
First, that's a lot of extra work. Second,
I don't think it
you
is.
still got those shirts out there. There's still thousands of them out there.
But the odds that you would find it is less because it's not concentrated.
But someone would tell. That's the thing. That's why conspiracy theories don't work when in grand scale, because people fucking tell each other shit.
As you're literally believing a conspiracy theory of destruction.
This is not really conspiracy. This is just
okay.
straight corporate business. I've seen before, like a corporation.
Yeah, like he's going off of, if I can speak Tom for a second, he's going off of Clear Channel if they need to clean out the supply closet because they're putting in new stuff. And there's a stack of St. Patrick's Day Blarney Bash cups in there. I mean, 400 perfectly good plastic cups that you can make drinks in, that Clear Channel would look at those cups and be like, yeah, destroy those, get those out of there because they have the wrong date, they have the wrong sponsors, they have the wrong name on them. We don't want them. And we've seen them just throw them in, like just trash them right in the trash.
But I've also seen companies that take that and they're just like, just give them out again anyway.
No, it's just, and then the value of the shirt, and this is where I could be wrong because
We're waiting on Science Center, right?
Yeah, we'll just talk shit until they get here.
Perfect.
But and I could be totally wrong about the value of these shirts because who did we bring this up with? Vince Taylor, because Vince was like, oh, I wouldn't want that because it's like a fake shirt and it's like
Yeah, because if you're a huge fan, you're gonna get clowned because people know that they didn't three-peat.
But everybody, like, I feel like a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'd want that shirt. If the Dolphins made the Super Bowl and didn't win, and I'd want the Super Bowl championship Dolphin shirt just to
the
fuck
Belichick's
around.
girlfriend shirt, I'd rather have it than her. It means more to me than it does to her.
And especially if someone could
Fuck
prove,
her.
like, hey, this is the one they really printed. Like, I'd pay $150 for that shirt.
That's true, but
Just,
you
know.
also don't hang out with groups of people. Like, let's say you had a Dolphins fan. You don't hang out with like asshole Jets fans who would literally just clown you all the time.
Yeah,
and,
but
like,
that's what I live to do is piss off Jets fans. You see what I'm saying? Like, as other teams, like, I want to piss off the Jets.
But they'd have the upper hand because they you didn't actually win that.
It's trolling, Kenny. Trolling is so fun. It's trolling the other.
That's a weak troll. That's an EJ level troll.
No.
Ha! Take that, EJ.
Hold on, I'm a weak troll.
And
Oh.
I could
Thank
be.
you.
I could be wrong, but I'm right.
You know who said that? Do you know who said that? That's a very famous. Well, her version was different. That's a Roseanne Barr.
Oh yeah, me and
That's a Roseanne
me
Barr.
and Barr.
Like, yeah, she was like she would say it. It's one of her comedy lines. She'd be like, "What is it you make? What did you just say?"
I could be wrong, but I'm right.
I think that's what she said. I might have to go back and say, you are my Roseanne Barr. That makes me big, fat, not entertaining at all.
John Goodman?
No. It makes
Dan
me...
Connor.
No.
Tom Arnold.
Thank you.
And I will die believing this until someone proves me wrong.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Is that all? Is that it?
And I've searched.
You should have walked out. That'd have been awesome if you just walked out.
Or it pulls out a gun, just kills himself,
yeah.
just be like, yep, that's it. That's my life.
Because I just it goes back to the no secrets. Everything's on the internet. You could find everything if it's out there. And I'm like, wait a minute,
I've got
why
some
can't we
secrets
find
you
this?
guys don't know that
See,
are not on the internet.
and I understand
And they're
on-
all over here.
I understand on a grand level, but then every once in a while you get that, oh my God, we had no idea this thing happened with that person or that company. You know what I mean? And you had like absolutely no idea. It's not frequent. It's not all the time, but every once in a while you get that where it's like, holy crap, no one saw that coming.
Yeah, we found a new dinosaur yesterday, so there you go.
That could be true, yeah. And I are surprised every once in a while. But with this and the amount, I'm like, wait a minute. After all these years, all these shirts and hats and memorabilia that are supposedly donated, and the fact that everybody has a cell phone, everybody has got the internet, everybody,
God.
And I
So-
say everybody, but surrounding
David
areas.
Hasselhoff's ex-wife blew her head off.
But you also have to realize, too,
man.
people in these other areas that may have cell phones may not care about the NFL or even know that it's valuable.
That's the thing. But they can look on the internet and see it's valuable.
No, but to them, if someone walked in with a random Brazilian soccer club that you've never seen or heard of in your life, but you know it's a Brazilian soccer club, you may not know that that's the equivalent in Brazil of their fake championship shirt. You would have no idea. Just like someone in Estonia, okay, they've heard of the NFL, they've heard of the Chiefs. They don't know about the three-peat or what it means or the fact that the Super Bowl, championship is that grand.
But someone around them does, and they know it's valuable, and they're like, hey, I'll buy this shirt.
We can
for
only go back around again if one of you guys brings something new. If you bring in evidence,
I will say, from the article I read, they only started doing that since 97. So before then, they would destroy everything. Now
which really does make me think they still do it, and they just
And then they started giving them out,
They
and then
spin the narrative.
And then all of a sudden they ended up on the internet. They're like, oh shit, the internet. Go back to destroy them.
Which is said
forgot.
every day a lot.
Oh, shit, the internet.
Oh shit, the internet.
And then they're like, just put it out that we donate them easier. Because what I know about corporations is they want easy and cheap. And the cheapest, easiest thing for them to do is just destroy it all. Although I will say to sell them for charity would be cool. And then
Well, that was the idea you and I were talking about, is that like you could actually, for super fans, if you like took out, let's say you
why not
singled
sell them
out,
for charity?
but not all of them too, because you still want them to have a certain amount of rarity. So you pull out like, I don't know, 25 of them, and you put them up for auction bid for super fans that want to buy the shirt.
Yeah, because who cares?
Orlando City does it.
And another
Or MLS teams will take like a one-off, shirt.
See, if it's a one-off, yeah, I could see that. There's also the theory, and it kind of goes like, if you've ever gone to like a high school football game, and then at the end of the day, the concession stand has a whole bunch of hot dogs, and they'll just give them away. But once people start realizing that, well, then no one's going to buy a hot dog during the game if they know they can just wait till the end. So to that theory,
That's a great idea.
yeah, they could probably
I'm
do
gonna
a
start going to
charity
high
or do
school
whatever.
football games.
But at a certain extent, you'd be like, well, if we keep doing this, then no one's going to actually buy the other merchandise if they know they can just wait and potentially win it afterwards at a cheaper price.
Yeah. That's why some of the tents at Surf Expo, because they don't want to take the stuff home at the end of the day, you'll see them out in the parking lot smashing all the skateboards and destroying them. I'm sorry. I'm in a weird mood today, and that would make me laugh. If I walked out there and saw some guy breaking surfboards and destroying all the stuff instead of giving it to people, I'd be like, what are you doing? And that is the reason why maybe I like this topic so much, is because there's a part of me that really wants them to burn the shirts. You know what I mean?
I still
it's
think it'd be
funnier
like
if they do.
You find some little kid that like has been saving up his money for a skateboard and still can't afford it, and then goes to afterwards just smashes the skateboard.
Hey,
in front of
Ryan
him.
did the thing my wife did. Speaking of old food, he says, a few weeks ago I got 17 bagels for $9 from Jeff's through Too Good to Go. Yeah, that's
someone posted that
Andrea
on the.
loves Too Good to Go. My wife is always getting raccoon dumpster food for and it's great food.
But what's crazy is like
Spencer, what's up, buddy?
Oh, okay. I was like, I invited someone to use it, but they lived